Welcome to Village Church Connections once again. I'm David Pavey. Some time ago, when I was serving as a pastor in Britain, several stories hit the news almost simultaneously. One was about a 16-year-old girl named Lydia Playfoot, who was refused permission by her high school to wear what she called a chastity ring on her finger, symbolizing her Christian faith and her intention not to engage in sex before marriage. But rather than accept the school's ban on her wearing the ring, Lydia went to court, claiming that if Muslims could wear headscarves, she should be able to wear a little ring as a sign of her Christian faith. The judge upheld the position of the school, however, claiming that the ring was not a sign of her faith, but a sign of her moral position. Now imagine that. In other words, even if her faith was acceptable, presumably her moral position wasn't. The assumption was that since sex before marriage is now considered normal by some, Lydia Playfoot might offend promiscuous students by her moral stand. My word. Another story was about what the media referred to as a sacred cow. Actually, it wasn't a cow at all, but a steer named Shambo that a small community of Hindus worshipped in Wales. Shambo, the steer, was housed in a so-called temple, but had developed tuberculosis, and the law required that he would be put down so that he wouldn't infect other animals. The Hindus went to court, however, appealing for Shambo to be spared from capital punishment. And to the horror of local farmers, the judge ruled in favor of Shambo, the holy cow. So, a high school girl can't wear a ring as a symbol of her Christian faith, but an infected steer can be permitted to live to keep a handful of Hindus happy. Hello? I need to admit, however, that the outcry from Welsh farmers was understandably very loud, and their voice prevailed. So about a week later, the High Court reversed the lower court's decision, and Shambo was led away to be put to sleep. Then another British story caught my attention. An independent adjudicator ruled that Muslims should be able to head up the Christian Union at Exeter University. He went on to suggest that on the university campus, the Welsh Society should be open to Scottish members, the Wine Society open to teetotalers, the Choral Society open to non-singing members, and the Cheerleading Society open to male members. Now please. Naturally, the Christian student at the center of the Exeter University row appealed the ruling as unbalanced and selective, and went on to seek a judicial review in the High Court. Is anybody home? What's going on in what used to be known as Christian England? It's politely known as culture drift. And while we can smile at stories from overseas, we know full well that devout Christians are feeling the pinch right here in the United States too. Wrote Fiona Barnard, a Bible commentator, "We become enslaved in a country where economics are the supreme value, in a society entertaining itself to death, and in a church distracted by non-essentials." Now there's a verse tucked away in the Old Testament of the Bible, 1 Samuel 3:20, where a prophet is informing Eli, the high priest, of God's coming judgment on his family because they had dishonored him. In the process, God gave us a powerful precept. "Those who honor me, I will honor, and I will despise those who think lightly of me." Perhaps this is what inspired King Solomon a couple of generations later to urge people to honor the Lord with your wealth and with the first fruits of all your produce. I think of Daniel, who honored God by refusing to pray to King Nebuchadnezzar. As a result, he was thrown into the den of lions, where God honored him by miraculously protecting him. He honored God, God honored him. Dare to be a Daniel. Dare to stand alone. Dare to have a purpose firm. And dare to make it known. Remember the famous words of Caesar, reporting on one of his victories? Veni, vidi, vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. Well, John III Sobieski, King of Poland, is remembered as the man who saved Central Europe from invading armies from Turkey in 1683. With the Turks already at the walls of Vienna, Sobieski led a charge that broke the siege. His rescue of Vienna was a decisive event in European history. But in announcing his great victory, the king paraphrased the famous words of Caesar by saying simply, "We came, we saw, God conquered." He honored God, who said, "Those who honor me, I will honor." Oh yes, culture drift is alive and well in our land. We have lost our moral compass. Lies parade as truth. Corruption presents itself as integrity. Words lose their value, and marriage its virtue. Some who seek to honor God by their behavior are taken to court, are charged fines, are mocked and belittled. Our day of testing is coming, so I ask you today, will you be willing to take a stand for the one who said, "Those who honor me, I will honor"? And thank you for tuning in once again to Village Church Connections.